Yes, this morning at 10 a.m., we have our first witness from the army. No, I cannot give his name. When he comes, he'll give his own name. So, Commander, please, if you could come forward. Please, you can have this. You would be sworn in first.
Oh, this is the. I, Brigadier General Joseph Aphour, swear with this holy cross that the evidence I shall give shall be the whole truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God.
You are welcome, Commander.
Thank you, sir.
The council will take you through your evidence. After that, if we have any question for you, we will ask you so that you explain certain things. Okay, thank you.
Commander, please, can you give your full name again to the court, to the committee, sorry.
Am I permitted to remove this? My name is Brigadier General Joseph Aphour, the General Officer Commanding Central Command, Kumasi. Okay. Brigadier General Joseph Aphour, the GOC Central Command, Kumasi. GOC stands for General Officer Commanding Central Command. Okay. Thank you.
Officer, please. Please, if you could spell the name for us, please, so that we do not get it wrong. The spelling of Aphour.
The spell. I spelled the Aphour, Alpha, Papa, Hotel, Oscar, Uniform, Romeo.
APH.
Oh, APH.
APH.
APHOUR.
Thank you, officer.
APHOUR.
Please, can you? Please, Commander, when you say the general officer commanding the Central Command, can you give us what your jurisdiction is? How many regions or how many districts or whatever, please?
The Ghana Army is made up of three commands. You have the Southern Command, which is located in Accra, and the headquarters at Teshi. You have the Central Command. The Central Command.
Can we have the first one? No, after the first one, they are recording. Sorry.
Okay. The Central Command, which is based in Kumasi here, and it's made up of 3 units. The units are 4 Battalion of Infantry in Udara Barracks, 3 Battalion in Liberation Barracks, then 154 Armored Regiment also at Liberation Barracks, both in Suyani. So there are 3 units under our command, and it covers the Ashanti region, the Bono region, the Bono East region, and then I have 4 regions. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Commander. Please, can we find out whether, as the GOC commanding the Central Command, you are a member of the Regional Security Council?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Commander, you have been invited before the committee this morning to tell us if you know of the events that occurred, the incidents, the disturbances that occurred at Ejura Township, which is under your command in the Ashanti region, on the 29th of June 2021. If you could tell the committee whatever you know about it.
Okay. Thank you.
Involving your command.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I should take my time. Okay. I think it was on the Sunday that I watched the news of what happened in Ejura, and apparently my battalion, which is based in Kumasi over here, that's the 4th Battalion of Infantry, they cover those areas. That is Ejura. Okay.
Please, you can go on.
Can carry on.
Thank you.
Now, in Kumasi, for the security and safety of Kumasi, the command has devised, through my battalion, 4th Battalion, has divided Kumasi into about 7 sectors, and that the sectors being controlled by the military police, what we call Operation Calm Life. So we patrol, or the military police patrol teams patrol the whole of Kumasi. Ever since I took over command in 2019, we particularly patrol in the nights to curb criminality, and then so that Kumasi will be safe. So one of the sectors is Mamponting and Tafu. So we have a military and police team that also moves there, like in any other sector, the 7 sectors. So my battalion commander called me the day of the incident. That was what was happening in Ejura, the incident that we all know was happening in Ejura. Then
Commander.
I had a call from the chairman of RECSEC that the situation was getting out of control. And that there was a need for us as Operation Calm Life, already we were operating with the police, to move inside and do something. If not, things will get out of control seriously.
Commander, please, can I ask you, if you could tell the committee what exactly were the disturbances that your unit commanders told you about? What exactly did they say was happening?
What we heard was that there's a gentleman who was killed. The details I didn't actually, that was killed, and then I think when that was the Sunday, a gentleman who was killed, and that there was serious riot. Civilians and everybody was creating a problem, and then they were giving the police in particular problems. The police in particular problems. So it appears the police command over there had to call their command over here in Kumasi, and then they also relayed that to the chairman of RECSEC, I believe. So that's where the RECSEC chairman then called me and said, we should have to intervene immediately, if not, things will go out of control.
And for clarity, please, can you inform the committee who is actually the chairman of RESEC?
That is the regional minister of Ashanti region. He is the chairman of RESEC.
Please, you can continue.
No. So when it happened that way, I called my battalion commander, who is here with me, to immediately use Operation Calm Life. And because Mamponting and the Tafo is on the Mampon Road and closer to Ejura, I said he should use, it was better he uses those people very close by to go to Ejura to help the police. I think they went there and what they saw was bad. They were able to control the situation, and that particular team stayed there up till after 1 midnight. Then they came back.
Please, can you tell the committee to be specific? What day did they stay till 1 p.m.?
That was on the Sunday night, in the evening night. They stayed up till I think they came back the following morning. I think Monday dawn or something. Came back to Kumasi. Monday, yeah, Monday.
Okay. So they stayed.
At least my battalion commander here, he will have the dates because I gave him instructions. So if there is a need, he will give me particularly the timings and the dates. Okay.
So it was a Monday.
Yes.
They stayed from Sunday till Monday, 1 a.m.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
And I came back, yeah. Then the Monday, we were back in doing the normal patrols. Of course, not knowing that what happened in Ejura was something very bad. We intensified our patrols within Kumasi that Monday. Only down to hear that Monday they were about to bury the gentleman that had died, and that the route and then the way the civilian had massed up going to the cemetery, and particularly even we heard that they were traced at the police station. So quickly, the chairman of RECSEC said there was a need for us to intervene, because if we didn't intervene, things would go out of hand. So we had to go back to get the same Operation Calm Life team. We were about 10, the military were here about 10. We joined up with the Ejura police when we got there.
Please, you can go on.
Now, so back in Ejura, the crowd was very, very bad, going to within the general area of the cemetery. Then we all watch it on television, what we saw. Then at that stage, with the police, if you saw it, there was a police vehicle, police riot vehicle that we were with. So the police, from the cemetery, the crowd was so huge. I don't know which part of the cemetery is, but we saw the crowd moving, charging on the military police team. So at that stage, we had to apply our rules of engagement. As we are taught, the normal thing is crowd dispersal. We started giving warnings, verbal warnings, that is done in the military. They couldn't heed to that. We fired warning shots. I think at the time that we fired the warning shot, we realized that some people were then firing within the crowd. Had fired one or two, okay. So at that stage, it was becoming too bad for us to see civilians firing from the crowd. I think the commander at that stage then had to use minimum force by trying to fire to maim those people who were involved. So if you realize that they fired and then we didn't have instant deaths within the crowd. I think they were evacuated to the hospital, and then I think we heard that two died. But at the instance of our father, I think the crowd actually withdrew and everything came under our control.
So, Commander, please, may I find out, were you personally present at Ejura on that day?
Not at all. I wasn't there in Ejura. I was sitting in Kumasi and monitoring everything, and my battalion commander was briefing me. And then we had, in the military, we do what we call, we send INCREPs, incident reports. So at every stage, we send incident reports to my headquarters in Accra. And it was based on what the field commander told the battalion commander. He told me that that's based on that I'm reporting.
So can you produce a copy of the incident report if you are required to do so by the committee?
Yes. After this, we can easily give you, but I will clear that with my higher command as to whether it is the right thing to do to give military documents out. But I'll clear that, and if it's possible, we'll hand over the INCREPs to you. But I still want to add that but now, for what we did that day, we believe and strongly believe that there would have been more deaths if we actually wanted to use proper force or fire indiscriminately. More would have died. But we saw that only we tried to maim the people. We used the minimum force not to create more problems. So, but with that minimum force, the effect was there. The crowd dispersed, and we were able to control the situation.
So for clarity, you had 10 officers at Ejura on that day. Is that not so?
Yes.
And they had, how many vehicles did they take along?
Sorry?
Vehicles. How many vehicles?
Vehicles?
Yes, please.
I'll get those details from my battalion commander later. I can't give you now the number of vehicles that we had there.
Okay, so would you agree that obviously that battalion commander must also be invited to this committee?
Maybe, basically, is what, maybe he might also only give you the nitty-gritties. Yes. But basically what he will come to tell you is what he reported to me. Maybe the nitty-gritties, but if you think that there is a need, but I think basically what I'm telling you is what he reported to me, and I've reported that to my headquarters. So for me, if you still insist, no problem, but I think what I'm the commander, so it serves, what I'm giving you is exactly what happened.
Okay. So do you have any further comments on the issue to tell the committee?
Now, the only point I want to add is that, but not for what we did together with the police, and I'm telling you because it was already a joint military police patrols that we've been doing, but not for what we did in Ejura. I can bet you there will be more casualties, more deaths to civilians and security alike if the chairman of RECSEC didn't give good judgment. And I believe the judgment he gave by inviting us to intervene was the right one. Thank you.
Thank you. Now the committee members would ask you questions. Thank you.
We thank you, GOC.
Thank you, sir.
Members would like to ask some few questions.
Yes, sir.
DOC, thank you very much for your testimony. I'd like to ask you, when your battalion gets on the ground, do you have constant contact with them, even in the situation we saw in Ejura?
Certainly, we have. What in the military happens is that when we deploy immediately, we send an immediate incident report. And then once the incident report, in fact, the field commander sends the report to the battalion commander, he sends it to my headquarters. So we monitor everything, but of course the details, the nitty-gritty sometimes, I may not get it, but the field commander on the ground will be able to get the nitty-gritty, but we get reports, immediate reports, whatever ever happens, yeah.
And the field commander usually has the last say, or they have to come back to someone like you, for example, to give them what to do to graduate or escalate their intervention?
I didn't get that. If you can repeat it.
I was asking if the field commander would usually, after they've given you an incident report, wait on you to give them what to do in the next instance, or they are allowed to take their own decisions on the field?
On the ground, they take decisions depending on the situation. They don't have to wait for us to give instructions as what to do. But they are trained officers, they know the procedure, the rules of engagement. So on the ground, the field officer takes the decision he thinks is appropriate. If he has any problem, he calls back to his battalion commander. But this is a matter of, it's fast, it's done very, very fast. It doesn't take too much time.
I suppose my last question is, you've said that this particular operation was done in conjunction with the police. On the field, who takes the lead in terms of whose command goes in terms of crowd control, for instance?
Yeah. When it gets to where the military is invited, the military takes control. When it gets to where, at the stage that the military is invited on ground, the military takes control. That's what happens.
Thank you, Commander. Let me ask you, when you ordered them to proceed to Ejura, what operational gadgets did you ask them to carry along? When you asked them to proceed to Ejura, upon the instructions of the Regional Security Council chairman, what operational gadgets did you ask them to carry along?
Oh, there is SOP in the military. Even with the patrol that they've been doing, it's an SOP. Our established equipment is SOP. Once you are moving to an area, you don't have to call the officer, take this, and he himself knows the equipment and then whatever he's supposed to go with. That one we can get back and then we get the details of, but it's an SOP with every officer. That particular operations you go with along with certain equipment.
If I may ask, did they carry along tear gas to disperse the crowd or demonstrators?
The military, we don't have tear gas. Maybe the police, but we didn't carry tear gas. The military, we don't. Within our equipment, I don't think we have tear gas. That I'm aware of. So they didn't. I believe they didn't go with tear gas.
You see, it's a joint operation.
Yes.
The police and the military, and you have told the committee, when it is a joint operation, it is the military that takes the lead. Yes. So we are assuming that whatever equipment, gadgets that they are taking to the scene, the military will be aware. So my question is, did the team, including the police, did they carry along tear gas?
Not to my knowledge, but once we take over at that stage, we have a procedure that we follow. Crowd dispersal procedure, which you can relate it to rules of engagement. And
meeting, then we wouldn't have had all these problems, because you know at that level, crisis management. The rest, an emergency meeting to map out the strategies for controlling the crowd. Do you think in this country we need to rely on one man because he's the chairman giving orders that way?
But in this circumstance, Prof, I think at the time we've been having emergency meetings on issues like this very often in Kumasi over here. But in this particular instance, the chairman of RECSEC was not in town and when it was happening. So I believe if he had not taken any action, eventually it would have been worse. So he was in Accra, I'm told. Later on he called me to tell me that he was in Accra attending a meeting. So I think it wasn't possible for him to have come down to call a meeting, an emergency meeting, even though we have the police commander who will always, in his absence, he takes over. But I think at the time, he wasn't around. But if he had been on ground, I believe he would have called an immediate emergency meeting.
Supposing he was not in Ghana, he didn't even hear, would the RECSEC not still have functioned? Would you still not have functioned?
Oh, in that case, he would have delegated. Once he's out of town, he will know that he's out of town, maybe for a period of time. Then he will then send a message that I'm out of town. Other police commander, in case of anything, you take charge as chairman of RECSEC. That is different. But he was just in Accra, and it was it was a matter of going to camp. That was the issue, and the time issue was there. I mean, what was revolving in Ejura, for him to come down to Kumasi and take the Shishibe, by that time we would have been here trying to explain ourselves what happened.
General, in such situations, when the police are overwhelmed, the general practice everywhere is the military comes in and takes over completely.
Yes.
But the military does not just go in and say, police, stay, and then you take over. You know it already.
Yes.
What went on between the police and the military? You know, there should have been some kind of briefing,
Yes.
handing over,
Yes.
and the strategies, the role that who and who will play. My Lord asked you whether there was ambulance, because it is what we normally call interagency cooperation,
Yes.
to douse the fire.
Yes.
Was there any kind of thing like that, or the military just went in, we know how to do it, but there should have been some interagency cooperation?
Sir, my Lord, maybe that's the procedure, and we know when we are to take over as we are invited, there's a whole lot of official procedure that takes place. But with the exigency, sometimes you carry out the action, and these procedures are later on worked out. Because you cannot wait to carry out procedures. By the time you get there, you must as well not even go there. But the cooperation between we and the police has been there. Like I just said earlier, we do Operation Come Life duties every day. In fact, since 2019, we do it every time. We have a joint task force where we meet, we brief each other every day before. So even before they went there, I believe they knew what they were supposed to do, my Lord.
General, you were getting sit reps. You were getting sit reps. Was there any point that, as a GOC, you felt some other methodology, some other strategy should have been applied from the sit reps?
So the e-creps that we got, I don't know, but that was the best action that we could take at the time. Maybe that was the best action we saw was necessary at the time. And maybe it could have been different, maybe at another circumstance, but at that particular time, that was the best that we could do at the time.
General, you are very experienced in these areas, I know.
Yeah, yes, sir.
I know you personally.
Yes,
sir. This is not the first time we're having such a situation where the military will have to come in and take over. In your experience, would you say that such external situations and the procedures we adopt, like this current one, should be continued? Should this be the only optimal way of crowd control, conflict resolution, mob resolution and things like that? Is it Is it, how long can we go on this? The military comes in, somebody is dead. The military comes in, somebody is dead. In your opinion, is that the only way we can go? Why aren't we diversified?
My personal opinion is that, of course, what you are saying, I subscribe to that. But maybe the other services, I cannot talk for the other services, but with the military, the procedures that we have, and we've been practicing ever since, we haven't had problems. But I cannot talk for the other services. With the police, maybe, but I believe even the police now, things are changing, or things have changed, and maybe it could have been better, my lord.
General, I won't agree with you that you don't have problems, that you have been practicing. You always have a problem. You still have a problem. You are sitting before us. So there is a problem.
Yes.
And you know that if we are following the procedures that you and I know, we
Yes,
teach, we talk about, then we could have done something about crowd control, about hooliganism. About, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you agree with me,
So, but, my lord, but it's also, I think something basically has to be done with even the citizenry. What I saw on the video that we saw there was terribly unacceptable anywhere. That you could see kids as young as 10, 8, I could see, chasing a military or a security vehicle that was even pumping water into them. And they were speaking, I understand Hausa, and I heard some of the words. Segu, Kusunagudu, they are running away. It is bad. So maybe the mindset of the whole scenery is something that we should also consider, please.
General, 2 wrongs do not make a right.
Yes, yes, sir.
They did all that.
Yes, sir.
1 man dead is worse than all that they did.
Yes, sir.
And my contention is that maybe our standard operation procedures need to change.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, General, you said the chairman of RECSEC was out of the town in Accra, and he called. For that matter, RECSEC, without him, couldn't meet. In this digital age of ours, we all know a call, a video call, or Zoom meetings can be held. Will you agree with me that without him, the other members of RECSEC could have had an emergency meeting either by Zoom or any other technology?
My lord, that could have been possible, but I don't think they have. He has a deputy regional minister yet. And it will amend that to fall onto the police, because in the absence of the 2 political leaders, I think the one who takes over as RECSEC chairman is the police. And I'm not trying to say that, but for what happened and at that particular moment, I think maybe who will organize that Zoom? Is it the police commander will call me, or the immigration officer? I don't know, but it would have been a little bit difficult. And we believe that once he was in Kumasi, Accra, and the issue had happened, and then when he came, he called an emergency meeting. Immediately he came back, he called an emergency meeting, and we discussed this.
Very well. Let me ask again, what was the specific message that the chairman gave to you, which prompted you to order the battalion to move to Ejura? What was the specific message that came to you from the chairman?
My lord, it wasn't actually a battalion that we sent there. Like I said earlier, we already operate with the police as Operation Calm Life in Kumasi every day, and we have sectors. So one of the sectors, we have the police military patrols. So he called and said, did you watch the issue that is happening in Ejura? I've got information that it's getting out of control, and I believe that the Ejura police, if we don't take care, they will be overrun, or something serious will happen. Can't we move there quickly? I said, no, it was better rather we move there with a few soldiers at that time. Even with, so I moved, the battalion commander moved there with military and police to join up with the Ejura police. So that's why he said.
Has it come to your knowledge? either during or after the incident, that the district commander of Ejura sent any message to his superiors, either the divisional commander or the regional commander, regarding the situation they found themselves in at the time? Has it come to your knowledge that the district commander?
I haven't heard that.
So upon what basis do we assume that the police at Ejura were overwhelmed?
It is based on what the chairman of RECSEC told me. And I believe once he told me, he couldn't have been lying. It means he got proper intelligence that this was what was happening. And I based everything, my decision, based on the chairman of RECSEC to salvage the situation. And I think it was a better option in my view.
Would you agree with me, General, that if the police Ejura were overwhelmed, the best option was for the district commander to have informed his superior officers for reinforcement in the circumstance?
I believe he would have done that. I believe he did that.
He did that? To your knowledge?
I have no knowledge as to whether he did it or not, but I suppose he would have done that.
Yes, having a hindsight.
He did. Okay, from my battalion commander, he did.
Don't worry, we will call him.
Oh. Okay.
Yes. Having a hindsight to the incident that happened, do you have any suggestions for the committee so that we can consider if we have to make recommendations about the procedures in relation to mob rioting and crowd control? Do you have any suggestions for us?
My Lord, my suggestion will be that I think the committee should accept that it is really very, very necessary when the military is called to support the military in such situations. If not, we can see ourselves in a very serious crisis one day, which will rather even be bad. So I believe that the committee should add in their report that in such situations, the military should support.
Well, if I understand you perfectly, you are saying that before the military will be called to intervene in any sort of situation like this, it should be a situation that requires the military, but not in every given situation.
Oh, yeah, exactly, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Other.
Brigadier General, my question is just to clarify. The 10 people, or 10 of your men, officers that arrived in Ejura, are you aware of them arriving in batches, or all 10 of them arrived at the same time?
They arrived at the same time.
And was it one vehicle, or how many vehicles? All 10 of them arrived
one vehicle.
In one vehicle.
One vehicle.
Well, thank you very much. I suppose my last question is, as the DOC and as a member of the RECSEC, do you ordinarily give advice, security advice, as to what steps can be taken in different security situations?
Absolutely.
This is the norm. And so in this particular instance, were you, asked, because I understand that you were told to move your men there, but were you asked for your advice in terms of how to disperse the crowd or bring the situation under control?
Oh, but the advice is the procedures that I will take as a military man.
Okay.
As I had laid it to my battalion commander. These are normal procedures that everybody in the military will know.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, General, we thank you very much. We would like to find out from you if you have the ground officer, the officer who led the team to Ejura here, if he can assist us with certain information.
He's not immediately here.
Here?
He's not immediately in the hall.
He's not here?
Yes.
Yes,
but
can
I have the battalion commander, the one who...
We want the officer who went to the ground with the troops.
You may have to...
Yeah, maybe tomorrow.
Maybe tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, we will appreciate it if you can ask him to come tomorrow 10 o'clock for him to assist us in our investigation. We are very grateful to you, and we thank you for spending time with us. At least you for enlightening us to the effect that anytime that we are inviting the military to come in, we should expect live bullets. Yes, I think maybe the military will also put in an application for, is it plastic bullets, or what do they call it? Yes, so that it shouldn't be live bullets, because we are talking about human lives here.
Yes, sir.
You may aim at the legs, but it will end up in a different thing as we have on our hands now. So when you are making requisition, please don't be applying for live bullets. Plastic bullets may do.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, my lord. I also want to extend the same to my professor who taught me conflict management at Lesia. Thank you, sir.
General, before you go, you said that you have the battalion officer here. Do you have anything to tell us so that, because I saw him making gestures to you for you to provide answers. So if you can take your seat so that we can ask you one or two things. Yes, give us whatever you know about the situation. Then tomorrow morning we can get the officer who led the team. Yes. Thank you very much.